by the time we get through all the annual plan considerations, I'd like to deal with all that first and everything outside of the environmental flows, and then deal with the environmental flow submissions and discussion right at the end. So just so we're clear. Okay. So does that help you? No?
I haven't noticed. Okay. So based on the legal opinion recently obtained by the Hawke's Bay Regional Council, it appears I may have a pecuniary interest in matters relating to the Ruataniwha water storage scheme. I was not previously aware that any interest I had might be pecuniary in nature, nor of the potential implications if this is the case. I understand that many, if not all, councillors may also have a pecuniary interest on a strict interpretation of that term. As a result of that opinion, I sought my own legal advice back in May to the Attorney General for her opinion under Section 6 of the Local Members Interest Act 1968. That any pecuniary interest I might have is uncertain and in any event either no different to that of the general public and or so remote and insignificant that it cannot reasonably be regarded as likely to influence me in voting on or taking part in discussions relating to the Ruataniwha water storage scheme. I have also asked for a declaration under that same section that is in the interest of the electors or inhabitants of Central Hawke's Bay that any prohibition on my involvement in such discussions should not apply. I note from past decisions of the Auditor General and the reviews undertaken by her office that the applicable legislation is outdated and that possible conflicts of interest in New Zealand communities are often unavoidable and difficult to manage. My interest does not appear to be that dissimilar to other cases that the Auditor General has determined as being sufficiently uncertain, remote or insignificant as to render the non-participation rule as inapplicable, and I am hopeful that the same common sense will prevail in this case. I have not yet received a decision from the Auditor General's office, and it is with regret that I must decline to participate in any discussion or decisions regarding the Ruataniwha water storage scheme until such time as I receive a decision from the Auditor General confirming that it is appropriate for me to participate in such discussions or decisions. It appears, however, that I am permitted to be present during such discussions, but I cannot participate in discussions that specifically relate to Ruataniwha water storage.
Thank you. Okay, well that's very clear. So on the
that you can participate in discussions, but not in the Ruataniwha water storage. I didn't quite get that, but you mind just to go that? I'm just trying to be clear in my own head. If you don't mind.
Microphone, sorry.
But I cannot participate in discussions that specifically relate to Ruataniwha water storage.
That's her decision. That's where she's going. So.
All right.
Okay, so let's get into the, and just for those that perhaps weren't present at the beginning, I have suggested we deal with the environmental flow component of the submission, etc. at the end, because it's part of the long-term plan, not the annual plan. So we'll deal with the annual plan issues first, and then we'll come to the environmental flow at the end, just so everyone's clear. So we're going to start actually with the staff internal submissions, which begin on page 81 of the agenda. If you could go there, please, and I will hand that over to the Chief Executive or Mr. Drury, or both.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You go.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a normal staff internal submission. It's triggered by the request by staff to carry forward both operating expenditure and capital expenditure, and these come about where activities in the current financial year haven't been able to be delivered for good reason, and the request is that money be carried forward into the next financial year to 16-17 in order to be able to carry out those activities. So what we have in front of us is a series of reasons of why why work hasn't been completed, and the extent of funds relating to that work, and then the request for those to be carried forward. Normally we have each of the group managers here to talk about their particular areas. I think we've probably got our timing a little bit different. I think they thought that they wouldn't be required until after lunch. So I believe for strategic policy, James Palmer intended to talk to that.
Yeah, sorry,
He's not
so
here?
just, can I just clarify
here?
that,
Well,
I was just advised, both Mr Palmer and Mr Maxwell are unavailable today, but they have, obviously, got substitute staff who are coming, but I've just emailed them now, and, because they probably weren't aware that they're going to be discussing this straight away, so, but we can move on to, perhaps some of the stuff that Mr Adie's group and the, capital expenditure items as well.
okay.
So that'll be page 84, is it?
Yep.
The Mike's first
No,
one.
so paragraph 10 of the paper.
And this is seeking, a total of $100,000, likely to be unspent, but we're looking in the next financial year to incentivise farm environment management plan development by offering a contribution payment to each one that does that. Now the idea of that is to bring as many forward as possible, because we are aware that a lot of farmers, while they are aware that they've got to develop these, they are also aware that the deadline is 2018. So we want to put a subsidy in there for a full year, and withdrawn again at the end of next financial year to encourage them to do them this over the next financial year. So
I'd just like to ask a question about
Yep.
that, if I could, Mike. So is this $100,000 that you want to carry forward, which is the total sum that was put aside for this, or has some of it already been spent?
we know some of this is the amount we want to carry forward. So certainly we have, or the team have been out there increasing awareness about the requirements to produce farm environment management plans by the 2018 deadline.
Yeah, but
The awareness is pretty good out there.
Yeah, but has anybody actually taken up this opportunity yet, is what I'm asking?
We haven't provided it yet, so this is specifically a proposal for next financial year.
But it's being carried forward.
Yeah. Well, the money is being carried forward to allow for it. So, as I've indicated, the actual process of getting farm environment management plans done, it's been a reasonably slow start. We've gone from sort of assuming that everybody had a high degree of awareness and was prepared to come to workshops. That wasn't the case, so we changed the strategy to actually going and door knocking and talking to individual people. Now that's quite resource hungry, but it has really proved a lot of benefit, and I think a lot of people are ready to take the next step.
Well, hang on. Councillor Pipe.
There are currently 76 landholders that actively have those farm management plans, which is about 17%. So you're offering an incentive to the other ones that are going to sign on. Is it going to be retrospect or not?
No.
Those, it's not.
No.
So, no further questions. We have a mover and I think a seconder, but could you also consider mover and seconder? If you go to page 88, we actually need the recommendation that council agrees and receives and considers council's internal submission, and then you could make that the third part of that. So you're happy with that? So that those two plus recommendation on page 84, which is that council approves the carry forward, etc. So seconder, are you happy with that? Further discussion? Thank you. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. So, Mr. Ady, you have other...
Yeah, the next one, capital expenditure for regional park network, and we put the program to you early in the year. It appears that we will have 27,000, I think it's 27, or is it 37? 37,000 left over at the end of the year. Just remember that you also agreed to bring forward from the following financial year 160,000 for Waitangi. So just making sure the accounts are in place and that we're not losing any of that money. That's what's sitting out there.
Further discussion? All those in favour? Aye, thank you. And against?
That's me, I think.
You've got those two?
Climate change. 22. I don't think so. Maybe it is. No, that's James, one of James's team. Yeah. Mm. No,
Raffle Street Roofing, yeah, very good.
no, that's not me either.
That's not you either.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's get some clarity. Let's go back to the beginning now.
Yep.
Stephen, do you want to come up as well?
Mr.
For a future one we came to this, could we have a spreadsheet put up on the chart there listing all of the items we've got to deal with so we can see it in its totality rather than a piece here and a piece there and jump backwards and forwards?
Mr. Chairman, you're not referring to rate variations, no?
Well, just all these things, we're doing
Yeah,
piece by piece.
there is a summary.
I know,
on-
we
But
should
there
have
was
a
there was
page
one
for
reason we
that.
did it though, Councillor Barker, and that is we didn't have any other staffing. Now we do. We would do this as a normal council paper and work our way through it. So
The summary is on page 87.
I get,
Go back to number 3.
Oh, let's get in.
The question is, how much detail do you want to sort of be briefed on it around this request for a carry forward?
to a point where we understand it,
Yeah,
basically. So-
okay, all right. So number 3, this is for Project 192, the strategy and planning project, which encompasses a lot of our resource management plan change projects. For example, tank, Maihaka plan change, outstanding freshwater bodies, yeah, could go on, HPUDs. As you probably are aware, for the last 12 months, the team has been in search of new recruits. We've now got all those new recruits on board. And in addition to the internal or staff recruitments, there's been a fairly good chunk of consulting or legal sort of budgets sitting in Project 192 that, in the absence of staff to actually push those projects along, hasn't been spent for the last...
You may have to move, June. Well, it is what it is, Mrs. Graham. So, please, thank you.
Yeah, so in the absence of some of those staff to project manage these projects that might involve the inputs of external service providers such as consultants or lawyers and the like, there is a sizable chunk of funds that haven't been spent within Project 192, but the projects remain needing to be done nevertheless, and so when all those sort of Project 192 plan change type projects are rolled up, we're looking at a carry forward of 165,000 from this year into next year.
So just, you're talking a bit here today. Can you get your microphone a bit closer? Maybe it may help. But
Okay.
you can pull it towards you. Yeah. Okay, you're happy to move, Councillor Scott. Is there any further questions? You don't have questions, Councillor Belford. You happy to second that? Yeah. Okay. Discussion. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. You've got mover and seconder. Yeah, okay. So number 4, strategy planning, energy futures.
Yeah, similar reasons for that, except on this occasion, it's a very specific project relating to energy futures or the regional energy strategy, as it's sort of otherwise been spoken of. Again, much of that project hasn't been advanced as far as we would have liked it to have been in the 2015-16 year. But to advance the energy futures project and energy strategy, we're requesting that $145,000 be carried across into next financial year.
Oh, question first. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Councillor
you,
Scott.
and that is, it's very unfortunate when we've got such a demand now on the Open Spaces Fund that we're looking at taking money for something which doesn't relate from it. Does this still remain a call on that fund?
Yes, it does.
Question or happy to move? Happy to move. Microphone.
The recommendation includes and an oil and gas related plan change should this be required. Now we had discussion on that at the last whichever
Regional
meeting it
planning.
was.
Yes, which was last Wednesday, so
Last
but
Wednesday.
probably this would have been written before that was
Okay.
discussed, and it is yet to be confirmed at council, so we've left it in there, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so there was an initiative by Councillor Belford that was passed to establish a set of principles, was it not? Okay. Pardon? Yeah. All right. Well,
The decision here is taking the money forward
yeah.
and keeping it allocated for that
And
purpose.
it's still
Yeah.
appropriate to do that.
Yeah. So you're happy to second that, Councillor?
Yeah. Well,
You're happy to, Councillor Bell? Yeah. No further discussion. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Where are we now? Response to climate change, number 5, on page 82.
Well, in the absence of anyone else to talk about climate change. No?
We're
Okay.
We're going to get the
No,
CFO
I don't know a
to
hell of
talk
a lot about this either. One thing about this climate change, it's a project with a very small budget, apart from a little bit of staff time. There's a contractor budget of 17,000, and next year there's another 17,000. So the opportunity is being taken there. Well, the primary reason for the delay in commissioning work was driven by staff turnover and vacancies, prolonged processes of successful recruits. Regional Economic Development Strategy contains proposed action. So, yeah, I've never been a fan for carrying amounts forward that are not needed anyway. So, I mean, they've got 17 next year. I think, personally, I think this is a soft one.
So we won't be asking him again.
So you get the
Anything.
CFO to talk about climate change.
James
That's
will
what
be so
happens.
proud of you. Yeah.
I'm with you, Paul. You're on the money.
Well, someone happy then to move that we decline that carry forward. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to move.
You happy to move? Happy to second, Councillor Barker?
Two votes for fiscal
So
rectification.
just so we're clear, can I ask the Chief Executive, what is the wording of that? The recommendation is we do carry forward. The council does not approve the carry forward.
That council declines to carry
Declines to carry forward. So you move a second. Are you comfortable with that? Further discussion? Anyone wish to speak?
is the Regional Economic Development Strategy, which one is that? Is that the mysterious one that may emerge one day? So you guys know something with it we don't.
Well, we're aware of the, I guess, the draft implementation plan and what commitments that may require for the regional council.
Well, that gives me even greater justification in supporting the decline.
Okay, so you've spoken. Any other speakers? Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. You have mover and seconded. Good. Okay, we're down now then to project 310, number 6, regional groundwater research.
Okay, so the variety of environmental science projects for which we seek a carry forward are due in part because of, in general, projects which cover more than 1 year, and the timing of the expenditure has been shifted by circumstance or necessity in responding to other matters, or we've been constrained by external issues. So as we go through these, you'll see how those effects push the request for the carry forward. So in the case of 310, there are two elements to the request for a carry forward. One is the capex required for installation of monitoring bores in the Tucky catchment. This is something which is part of the Tucky Plan Change implementation project. The reason why we haven't quite got everything done, and we have started this, is that it took some time to establish the contract necessary for drilling. And whilst we've started that work, we haven't quite finished it, and we'd anticipate finishing that early in the financial year 2016-17.
If you jump to Science Capital,
Sorry,
page 85.
I thought they'd be in two
No,
in
no,
the same
no.
place. So the other element of Project 310 is the 231,000 that we propose for carry forward, particularly for the Heritonga groundwater modelling. As Council will be aware, we've committed to that work. We've been engaged in that work for a long period of time. The timing of the work is such that it falls across the financial year boundary, and we anticipate obviously continuing at the rate of effort that we have at the moment, and this just transfers across the boundary because we didn't manage to complete all of the groundwater modelling work in the financial year 15-16.
So questions?
Just
Councillor
the
Scott.
carry forward of the Section 36 charges, does this mean they have not been charged yet, but they will get these charged over and above what they'll be charged this year?
So I would have to pass that question to Mark.
The Section 36 charges are retrospective, so they apply to the previous year.
Yep.
We're talking about next year,
Yep.
so they won't get it until 16-17 is billed in 17-18.
So they don't pay it this year, they'll pay it next year.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that this work has been planned over a number of years, and that these same people could find other charges under Section 36 on them from the current year as well.
From the 16-17 year, that would be correct.
So I'm just questioning what the impact on these, it's not a targeted rate, it's a Section 36 charge, but on the consent holders who will be affected.
I think the total Section 36 charge is about 1.5 million. This is 80,000. So it has an effect, but it's not earthquake material.
It's also spread over a large number of consent holders, particularly in the Heritonga area. So the impact will be relatively minor, I suspect.
Further questions then, Councillor Barker? You're happy to move, okay.
So you're moving the capital one as well?
Capital is on page 85, and it's under Science Capital, Regional Groundwater Research Board.
Yeah, let's do one at a time. Let's keep it keep it sequential. So you're happy to move, Councillor Barker. We have a seconder for that, and thank you, Councillor Bevan. Further discussion? I'll put that motion, and all those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you.